You've tried to change, you've watched the videos, you've made the plans, you've promised yourself, this time will be different. And for a few days, it was. You felt motivated, focused, hopeful. Then life happened. Old habits returned, energy disappeared, and somehow you ended up exactly where you started, still tired, still frustrated, still waiting for momentum that never arrives. And the worst part, you start thinking, maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe I lack discipline. Maybe I'm just not built for consistency. But what if that's not true? What if the reason nothing changes is not because you're weak, but because you're fighting the wrong battle? Most people think change is about motivation. They think, if I feel inspired enough, if I want it badly enough, if I push harder, then everything will finally shift. But real change doesn't start with force. It starts with understanding. Today, we're going to explore why so many intelligent, self-aware people stay stuck, even while trying their best. Why effort alone isn't enough. Why discipline keeps failing, and what actually creates lasting momentum. If you've been trying and still feel trapped in the same place, this video is for you. Why effort keeps failing. Most people don't fail because they don't care. They fail because they are trying to change their behavior without changing the system that produces it. You can want a different life. You can visualize it. You can write goals. You can repeat affirmations. But if your environment, your routines, and your internal dialogue stay the same, your results will stay the same too. This is why motivation feels powerful at first and useless later. Motivation is emotional energy. It rises when you feel inspired and disappears when you feel tired, stressed, or disappointed. Real life is not built on motivation. It is built on defaults. Defaults are what you do when you're not thinking, when you're busy, when you're overwhelmed, when you're on autopilot. And most people never redesign their defaults. They try to outthink their habits. They try to force themselves to be better. They rely on willpower. But willpower is fragile. It weakens with lack of sleep, with stress, with emotional conflict, with decision fatigue. So every time life becomes heavy, old patterns take control again. Another hidden problem is identity. Deep down, many people still see themselves as someone who struggles, someone who procrastinates, someone who never finishes. So even when they try to change, they unconsciously act in ways that protect that old self-image. Success starts feeling unfamiliar, uncomfortable, even threatening. Because change means letting go of who you used to be, and that is psychologically difficult. There is also the trap of all or nothing. People think, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. So one bad day becomes one bad week. One mistake becomes surrender. Instead of adjusting, they quit. Not because they are weak, but because nobody taught them how progress actually works. Progress is not dramatic, it is quiet, repetitive, often boring. It is built from small behaviors done consistently without emotional excitement. And that doesn't look impressive online, so people ignore it. They keep searching for the next hack, the next trick, the next burst of motivation, while real change waits patiently in simple systems and small daily choices. And until that shift happens, the effort will continue to feel exhausting. Not because you are lazy, but because you are swimming against invisible currents you don't see yet. Most people think they are stuck because they lack discipline, but in reality, they are stuck inside invisible loops, patterns that repeat without them noticing. You wake up with good intentions. You tell yourself, today I'll do better. Today I'll focus. Today I'll start. And for a moment, you mean it. Then something small happens, a notification, a message, a distraction, a wave of tiredness. Nothing dramatic, just enough to shift your attention. And suddenly, the day starts slipping. One delay becomes two. Two become avoidance. Avoidance becomes guilt, and guilt becomes exhaustion. So you look for relief, not progress, relief. You scroll, you eat, you watch, you distract yourself. For a few minutes, the discomfort disappears. But later, it comes back stronger. This is the first loop. Discomfort to escape, to guilt to repeat. And it runs silently in millions of lives. Another loop is emotional. When you fail to meet your expectations, you start talking to yourself differently. Not out loud. Inside. You think, I always mess up. Why can't I stay consistent? What's wrong with me? These thoughts feel harmless, but they slowly reshape how you see yourself. Over time, you stop seeing effort as progress. You start seeing it as proof of weakness. So next time you try, you hesitate. You doubt. You sabotage. Not because you want to fail, but because your mind is trying to protect you from disappointment. This is the second loop. Try to doubt to self-criticism to withdrawal. There is also a comfort loop. When life feels overwhelming, your brain searches for safety. Safety in familiarity. Even if that familiarity is unhealthy. Old habits, old routines, old environments, they feel predictable, and predictability feels safe. So when change demands uncertainty, your nervous system resists. You procrastinate, you postpone, you wait for the right time, which never comes. This is the third loop. Fear to delay, to comfort, to stagnation. And when these loops combine, you don't feel stuck. You feel tired, confused, unmotivated, like you're walking in circles without knowing why. But here is the truth. You are not broken. You are patterned. And patterns can be rewritten once you learn to see them. How to break the loop quietly. Breaking these loops does not start with motivation. It starts with awareness, with noticing what happens before you escape, before you delay, before you give up. Most people only notice their behavior. They don't notice the emotion underneath it, the tension, the boredom, the insecurity, the fear of failing again. But when you learn to pause in that moment, even for 5 seconds, you create space. And space is where change begins. Instead of reacting, you observe, you ask, what am I avoiding right now? What am I afraid of feeling? Not with judgment, with curiosity. Small changes are more powerful than dramatic promises. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You need a slightly better default. One small action that is easier to repeat than to avoid. 5 minutes of focus, one honest message, one walk without your phone. These are not tiny, they are seeds. Another key is self-respect, not confidence, not hype. Quiet self-respect, the decision to treat your energy as something valuable, to stop draining it on things that don't move your life forward, to say no to constant noise, to choose depth over distraction. Progress feels slow when you're living it, but powerful when you look back. 1 month of consistency changes your self-image. 6 months changes your trajectory. A year changes your identity. And it never starts with a dramatic moment. It starts with one quiet decision. I'm done running from myself. You don't need to become someone new. You need to return to the version of you that isn't exhausted from fighting invisible battles. That version is still there, waiting, and every small step you take brings you closer to it.